Hey friends, in this episode, we're thrilled to share something really cool. Our friend Gio has embarked on an inspiring new journey, co-hosting the Mindful Muscle podcast with Jodi.
You are about to hear Gio's story, one of remarkable transformation where dedication to fitness and nutrition has shaped not just his physique, but his entire life.
On Mindful Muscle, Gio and Jodi delve deep into the realms of health and wellness, offering insights that stem from their personal experiences. They tackle everything from the pivotal role of mindset in achieving fitness goals to practical nutrition tips, all while balancing the intricacies of family life.
It's not just a podcast. It's a heartfelt exploration shared by two friends who are passionate about helping others transform their lives. Welcome to Nacho Fitness Coach.
This is Nacho Ordinary Fitness Podcast.
I'm Sarah, and I'm Nacho Typical Fitness Expert.
And I'm Caleigh, and I'm Nacho Average Fitness Beginner.
We're here to spice up your fitness journey
with some humor, a little knowledge, and a couple glasses of wine.
We're here to prove that getting fit doesn't have to suck.
So whether you're a seasoned athlete or a couch potato,
we've got some tips, tricks, and unconventional advice for you.
Let's redefine fitness together
and learn to balance fitness and fun. So Caleigh, we have Gio Marin here today.
Yes, we do.
And I'm very excited to talk with Gio because the very first time we had an opportunity to meet him, we were the guests on the Built by FitBod podcast that showcased your story through using their app to work out. And so he was one of the three hosts, or he is one of the three hosts because it still exists.
It's still going.
Yeah. So look that up. Listen to that podcast too. But Gio is a minister currently by day, health guru or enthusiast or advocate, moonlighting, obviously, around that job, from NYC and the Bronx, which I love because I have a soft spot for the East Coast in my heart, but has a huge weight loss journey of his own. So we're here to talk about it. I'm very excited. Thanks for joining us, Gio.
No, thank you for having me. This is going to be a good conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a great conversation. So, it's always fun to hear other people's stories. We talked a little bit with Michael about how
everybody has a story.
Everyone has a story.
And it's not always apparent by like physical appearance. You can see like, oh, that person works hard. But I think behind every fit person, there really is probably a very interesting story, Yeah. So we can just kick it off, I guess, with maybe you sharing a little bit about how you got to this point today.
Yeah. Let me start with this. I've always been very fit, except for the fact that my wife and I had trouble conceiving. Long story short, it took us 4 years to figure out what was wrong. Turns out she had celiac disease.
Oh.
And 10 months after going gluten-free, we were able to conceive, and now we have 3 beautiful girls. However, with women with celiac disease, second trimester is the trimester that is more probable for them to miscarriage, where in most pregnancies, it's the first trimester.
Yeah.
So she started eating extra food. She was eating a 4th meal because she was ravenous. Well, I started eating a 4th meal, and I went from this athletic individual who normally weighed around 160, 165, 170, but in shape. I ballooned up to 199.5 pounds.
You were working on that dad bod.
Yes, I was scared. I didn't want to cross the 200 threshold, and so I needed to do something. And one day I was at the pool with my family, and I saw a guy who was older than me at the time, and he was very fit. And I looked down at my dad bod, and I felt pity for myself for a split second. And I snapped out of it, and I said, no, I got to do something about this. This is not who I was, and I don't like who I am now.
Yeah.
And so I started investigating what I could do. And I started on a journey there that led me to FitBod, to losing weight. And I can get into more details, but I don't want to bore you guys unless you want to know more of the specific details. I'll throw it back to you.
We would love to hear those specific details.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's been part of I think the connection and how we connected with you and the other hosts was how powerful that FitBod, or finding something that works for you, which for you all has been the FitBod app.
Yeah.
Finding something that works for you to accomplish your goals. Right. So that is what started then your path to getting back to where you wanted. Was it the app?
Well, it was actually, I started with nutrition. My mother-in-law, who has since passed away, she told me that I was eating too much, but I had no way of knowing that because I was eating healthy. As a matter of fact, the reason I was having to come on now and not a little bit earlier was I was giving a presentation of my testimony to another community of like 10,000 people.
Oh.
And I shared the fact that without being able to track, how do you know where to start?
Yeah.
So I got me an app called Lose It. And when the first time I put a cup of rice on my plate and a cup of beans, and I saw how little it looked, I thought I was going to starve. But then by the time you put the salad and the potato and have vegetables or some fruit afterwards, I was satiated and I was like, hey, that wasn't so bad, which let me know that I was overeating.
Yeah.
And my internal numbers, here's another pet peeve of mine, is my internal numbers have always been great. My cholesterol right now is at 122. My triglycerides are in the low 60s. And, you know, because some people suffer with high cholesterol. So my cholesterol numbers have always been good, but I was overeating. And it doesn't matter if you're on a plant-based diet or on a cookie diet. If you overeat, you're going to gain weight.
Yeah.
However, as I was starting to lose some weight with controlling my diet, I realized that I didn't like the way I was looking. And so I started doing some reading and people said, no, you need to lift weights, especially as you get older. So then I started looking for different apps and I realized that none of those apps allowed me to tailor the app to the equipment I have.
Yeah.
I'm not a gym guy.
Right.
If I had to get in the car, drive somewhere and go to work out, I don't think I'd be on the current streak I'm on, which is 117 straight weeks of working out 6 days a week.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah, so I love the discipline, but that comes with knowing my own weaknesses. I couldn't get in a car and go to a gym and be consistent. So my wife and I have a nice, very expensive gym, but our joke is that it's cheaper than a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
That's true.
So that's why we outfitted it. And it wasn't until I found Fitbod, which allowed me, what sold me on Fitbod was it allowed me to just put my equipment and it would generate workouts with my equipment.
Yeah, showed you how to use your gym.
Yes. And once I started lifting weights, not only was the weight coming out faster, I was starting to gain some muscle and I was liking the way I look.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you see some before and after photos and it just looks like bad fat and bad skinny. I didn't want that.
Yeah.
I wanted to have some, some look.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do feel like that's a common goal. And that is where you will get people that will be frustrated as they think they've done everything right, but they've maybe missed it just enough that then they get to where they think they were going to be and then it's different. And you're like, oh, shoot. So, you did a little course correction there. So how often then do you have your labs done for you to know all of your internal numbers like that?
Yes, my wife, I do have a benefit. And so it's kind of like a cheat code. My wife and I own a medical practice. She's a board certified doctor of internal medicine. So at the beginning, I was getting my internal numbers like once a quarter. Now that I know I'm consistent with that, I do it once a year. In fact, I'm due here in February. The last time I checked my cholesterol is 120. And I eat a lot of food because you need food and protein to build the muscle.
Yeah.
And I'm plant-based. So those of you who may or may not know, I don't need any meat. I don't need any dairy. And yes, you can get enough and more than enough protein on a plant-based diet.
So what are your go-to sources then for protein?
Well, one of the favorite ones that I've gotten a lot of people on the Fitbod community eating is edamame pasta.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Oh, it is. It is. Because you can make it in different ways, Asian style or Italian style. Here's the kicker. A lot of people say, oh, plant protein doesn't have all the amino acids. Well, yes and no. There are plenty of plant protein that has the complete amino acids. And the kicker that benefits over meat in that sense is that you also get fiber. There's no fiber in meat. And that's what I tell my meat eating friends, because I'm not against people who eat meat. If it works for you, then so be it. But just make sure you get your fiber.
Yeah.
And so edamame pasta, 4 ounces of that has 48 grams of complete protein.
Wow.
So that's a lot of,
Yeah.
Then when I add some bread, which is 10 grams of protein, 2 slices of Ezekiel bread, then I add maybe 28 grams of almonds. That's another 6. I may eat some veggie meat, which is another like 18. Matter of fact, this morning, my breakfast was tofu with vegetables, and it was 67 grams of protein. And you get fiber and healthy fat.
So I feel like you should share with Caleigh how you cook your protein.
tofu.
Or how you cook your tofu.
We just tried tofu for the first time this past week, and it didn't go very well.
No. Ready? I used to eat meat, so I can speak from authority. Tofu and meat are tasteless unless you season them.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
It all depends on the seasoning. If you don't season it right, you're not gonna like tofu. Oh, and I don't like tofu unless you season it.
Yeah, right. There's a texture issue. That's an acquired. I can't even use the word taste because there's no taste.
But this is now our second plant-based friend. Our second plant-based friend that has been like, it's all about the seasoning.
Yep, it's true.
All about the seasoning. So that's.
Look, I used to cook a mean steak. Yeah, Cuban style steak, nice and thin with the garlic and the onions and all that. But unless you let it marinate in something, if you try to just cook meat without no seasoning, it doesn't taste good.
No,
don't lie to me, people. I've been there.
So
it's like the bitter beer face people. You know what I mean? Remember the commercials?
Yep.
Right? So I don't drink alcohol, but it's that concept. So it doesn't taste good unless you season it right.
Yes.
It's true for most foods, really. Mm-hmm. I mean, that makes a big difference, is getting your seasonings down correctly and all that fun stuff. So, all right. Well, we're going to put a pause in this topic, I guess, really quick. We're going to take a quick ad break, and then we will be right back. Find our Nacho Fitness Coach page on Facebook with username Nacho Fit Coach, where you can like, follow, and share our content. Okay, so now we're back. We've been talking about food, tofu, protein-based sources for plant-based eaters, or even just ways to get in protein in new ways other than eating meat, right? So it can be beneficial. Yeah. If it's something you want to try.
It can be done.
Let me give you some others. For example, edamame pasta is complete protein. So is quinoa. I've replaced brown rice with quinoa. It's higher protein than brown rice. You get your fiber. Then when you eat rice and beans together, it's a complete protein. Yeah. And look, I used to eat meat, so I know you usually don't eat just meat, right? You have your broccoli, you have your vegetable, you have your potato. Sometimes you mix it with rice and beans. So you're getting extra protein that way. And there's a whole other list of things that are complete proteins, like soy or tofu or tempeh. I don't like tempeh because it's like fermented soy food, and I don't like that. But it's complete protein. And then obviously black beans are not complete protein, but they're high proteins. Lentils are high proteins, red lentils, garbanzos, black-eyed peas. So as long as you eat varied, you don't have to worry about protein on a plant-based diet.
Can you tell us what you mean by complete protein?
Yeah, complete proteins is that there are 9 essential amino acids that your body needs to build muscles, the best you can.
Yeah.
Well, some plant proteins don't have those 9 amino acids in their full quantity. They have them all, but one, like lysine, may be very deficient. Okay. So if that's all you ate, you wouldn't get all the amino acids you need. But once you combine black beans with rice, you get them all in enough quantity. Well, meat has all the 9 essential amino acids in its complete. Okay. But then you don't get fiber, right? Okay. And then you got people who tell my wife, I'm regular. And she asks them, how regular are you? Oh, I go once a week.
It's like, that's not regular.
No.
If it's not once a day, at least, like, you're not regular.
Exactly.
You're not regular. And
they think once a week is regular.
Oh, no. I mean, that is a common deficiency in a lot of people is fiber, which you will see people then supplement with fiber, which you can do, but, you know, maybe try getting it from the whole food sources first.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then supplement where you're still deficient, you know, that kind of thing. But if you go back then to that period of time where you were starting to pay attention to your portions, at that point, were you really just starting to look at the volume of food you were eating, or were you making choices like different actual food changes? Does that make sense? Like,
yes.
So,
yes. Yeah. At first, it was just the volume of food. But then I realized that when I ate certain foods like nacho chips and pretzels, because I'm a salty. I prefer salty stuff over sweet. But then I realized, man, when I eat that, my calorie budget is wasted, and then I'm feeling hungry. So then I started making choices. I started replacing things that were high calorie, low satiation for stuff that would satisfy me, because that was the number one goal after, losing weight and all that was I did not want to feel hungry while I did this. And so I started replacing things. So now I no longer eat like Tostitos and Doritos and stuff like that. Not because I can't. And every once in a while I may have one, but it's not worth my calorie buck. I love feeling full. I love eating, and I prefer whole foods for that.
Yeah.
So then how many meals do you eat a day?
I eat 3 meals a day. I don't eat in between meals. I don't snack. I eat 3 meals a day, and I'm at maintenance right now at the moment. So I'm eating about 2,683 calories. And that's more than enough.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, today I had close to 170 grams of protein.
That is a large amount of food.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting that mostly from whole foods, plant-based diet, and you're getting to that many calories, I mean, the volume of food that you have on your plate to get to that, it's pretty significant. Mm-hmm. And I love hearing those.
And I'm pretty regular.
Yeah, that's
3
great.
times a day.
Good job. Woo! Well, I love hearing that calorie number, because I feel like society is very grained in on like either a 1,200 calorie diet or a 2,000 calorie diet. And it's like, to hear somebody that's consistently thriving on higher than that. I mean, people shouldn't be so scared of a certain number, because you have to find what your body needs, and it can be higher.
Well, let me share something. I just did a presentation, and the average American sedentary, and for those listening, I work out 6 days a week, lifting weights. I walk over 70,000 steps a week. So I average over 10, and I do my Peloton bike to raise my heart rate 3 or 4 times a week. With all that working out, I eat 2,683 calories for maintenance, right? The average American who's sedentary eats anywhere between 3,600 and 3,800 calories a day. Shows you why we're fat, sick, and nearly dead.
Yep.
In America, right? In the most prosperous nation in the world, we have a lot of health issues, and it begins with nutrition and lack of exercise.
And what is actually probably more eye-opening is the food choices to get to that calorie amount. It's not very much. I mean, it's probably like a huge thing of fries and a Big Mac. Yeah. I mean, that can get you to 2,000 calories like very quickly. If you're drinking your calories, it's going to get you up really super fast. Like a typical American diet can get to that very quickly, and people don't even realize what's happening. Yeah. Because they're not paying attention.
Well, and those foods are so much more accessible.
They are.
Than the healthier foods.
Well, for some people, right? Oh, yeah. For
Typically.
some people, yeah.
I just stopped on the way here and picked up a whole big bag of Flamin' Hot Cheetos.
You could have stopped and bought a bag of carrots.
Right, but
you didn't.
I didn't. These are the choices we have to live with.
Yeah, and it's not about, look, I eat popcorn often, but I air pop it.
Okay.
And season it myself, right? I love Cheetos, but I'm actually allergic to milk, but I'm 100% plant-based.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll taste one because I remember how good they taste. But one small of those bags,
Yeah.
it's like 2.5 servings, and it's like close to 900 calories.
Yep.
So you're right. People don't realize how quickly you can add up those calories.
Yeah.
Nope. And that's where I feel like paying attention, learning how to read a nutrition label to start, or like you started with the measuring cups, or at least just getting some level of familiarity and education around
A little bit of awareness.
what
on
a portion
you're putting on
size
your
is.
plate.
I think one big eye opener for me when I started doing measurements was cereal. I grew up eating cereal. I'm an 80s, early 90s kid, and that's like what we did back then. And so, or like I traveled a lot
What was
for my
your favorite?
Lucky Charms and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Like it was back and forth for sure between the two. But
Mine, Apple Jacks and Fruit Loops.
yes, so
stuff.
good. It is so good. But you think about like, okay, I would sometimes pour myself a really big bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch in the morning, and that was my breakfast. I didn't even think anything of it. To me, that's like a portion, like whatever. But then you start paying attention to sizes, and what I would think is a bowl, it was like three servings.
Yeah. It's like
Easily.
it's like a fourth cup of cereal is like a serving.
Absolutely. And you're like, wow, that was a big eye opener for me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of the reason why I'm not a cereal person anymore, because for me personally, it is way too easy to overeat it.
Yeah.
Because I could down a box of Lucky Charms in one sitting.
Yeah.
No problem.
Same.
Same. Is that yours too? What's yours?
I'm not a big cereal eater anymore.
But what was it?
Same.
Did you eat growing up?
We did a lot of Lucky Charms.
Yeah. I did Pop-Tarts a lot too.
We did a lot of Pop-Tarts,
really delicious.
Oh, I didn't like Pop-Tarts.
I know.
Do you like toaster strudels? Have you ever had those?
No.
See,
no.
I'm not the only weirdo. Like she thinks I'm so weird.
It's like a Pop-Tart on steroids.
Peanut butter, crunchy peanut butter toast.
Oh, yeah.
With a little bit of honey.
Yeah. Well, but now then you bring up peanut butter. I mean, peanut butter is another thing that was very common, can be overconsumed, and can take your calorie count like way off the charts when you're not paying attention.
36 grams of peanut butter is like 300 calories.
I love going and getting just a scoop of peanut butter. I do it a lot.
It'll add up very quickly.
So good though.
It'll add up super quickly. So it's great. Now, when you do your strength training workouts, how long are you doing those workouts for?
Anywhere between an hour and an hour and a half. I'm on a push-pull leg. Actually, I just switched it up. I used to do push-pull leg, and then rest on Saturdays, Sunday through Friday. But then I realized, let me switch something up. Now I do push leg pull.
Oh.
Like that, I'm not doing upper body 2 days in a row, twice a week, right? So before I used to do upper body 2 days in a row, twice a week. Now I'm only doing it once a week because when I rest on Saturday, I have that day off.
Sure.
And I like it. It gives me, I don't know, mix it up.
Yeah.
Fresh. But I'm pretty boring when it comes to my workouts. I program my own workouts and I'm very consistent with what I do. Yeah. I may change one or two of the accessory workouts, but the main compound lifts, bench press, squatting, all that stays the same.
Yeah.
And, I don't get bored with it because it serves me well.
Yeah. It's effective and it's simple and it works.
Yeah.
So that's really what you need to worry about. Yeah. And that's all that really matters. So, so then how often is it that you change your plan of attack in the gym?
As far as what?
Well, you just mentioned that you changed kind of your pattern of your days and reorganized things. So this is the first time you've changed it up in a while, it sounds like.
Yeah, this is the first time I've changed my push-pull leg in about 2 years.
Oh, wow.
The previous change, I went from 5 days a week to 6 days a week.
Oh, okay.
And that was before I started push-pull leg. Like I said, I'm on 117 weeks of working out 6 days a week.
That's amazing.
But prior to that, I had a streak of 3 days a week. And prior to that, I had a streak of 5 days a week. And then prior to that, a streak of 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So that's just the 6 days.
What do you do on your rest days? What do your rest days look like?
Yeah, my rest days are pretty active in the sense that I do not lift weights though. But I wake up in the morning and I spend some what I call devotional time. Well, I do that every morning before I work out, but specifically on Saturdays, I wake up, have some devotional time, and then I do some mobility work. After pumping iron all week.
Yeah.
And I push myself hard knowing that I'm going to have a day off that's built in. So then I do some stretching, some mobility. And then I love nature. And so every Saturday afternoon, I walk every day, but I make sure I still get my walk in. So it's about a 2.3 mile walk out in nature. I live in Sam Houston National Forest. So it's beautiful out here, nice and quiet. And I love walking amongst the trees. And so I do mobility work, stretching, and walking on my day off. So I still get credit.
Right. That's awesome.
Sounds like a really great schedule and routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Just very solid.
Let me harp on that. I think people underestimate the value of systematic rest.
Yeah.
Not just getting a day off because life happens, right? Because on my day off, I also unplug. Like I'm not heavily in social media. I'm not watching TV. I'm not keeping up with the news. I concentrate on my relationship with God, my family, my friends, nature, and acts of service. In fact, just yesterday, we visited a lady who was on hospice, and she was a doctor, and my wife is a doctor. So they grew a bond. She was 93 years old. She used to be a doctor. Well, was a doctor. And but she passed away this morning. But we were so happy that we were able to visit her. Yeah. And that's things we do. We fortify relationships on our day off. Because, I mean, it's a rat race. You got kids going to school. You got work to do throughout the week. So Saturday, we unplug and just concentrate on relationships and nature.
That's awesome.
That scheduled rest is very important. Yeah. It is definitely.
Yeah. And when you know every week that's going to be your rest day, you know, you can work those things in, and that's amazing.
Yep. So what is your sleep
look? You can push.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and you can push harder throughout the week because you know it's planned. The last thing I'll say before I'll let you ask that next question is when it's a systematic rest day, whether it's Saturday or Sunday or Monday, when it's systematic, it's not, I missed the gym because I was so stressed throughout the day running errands. Did you really rest?
Right.
No, you were stressed all day. Yep. Right? And so that's why I like the systematic approach.
Yeah. I think I might have to incorporate that. I like that because that's a very solid purpose and reason. Yep. And that would give you then that intentional component that it's not just happenstance, or you're right. Stress plays a big part of it for sure. So, well, that just, the whole rest day led me into like my next thought was just to ask you about like your sleep. Like, what do you do for your sleep patterns? How do you prioritize that in this whole picture? I mean, what do you do for that?
Yeah. As you probably know, I track everything. And so I track my sleep as well. I use an app called Athletic. Now I use my Apple Watch to sleep, but Athletic gives me all the numbers and it tracks your 14-day track. I try to be in bed between 9 and 10 p.m. and I wake up anywhere between 5:30 and 6 on Sunday through Friday. And then on Saturdays, I sleep in till 7. Yeah. But I try to be consistent. I've noticed that even if I go to bed on my time, if I sleep in past my bedtime, the day gets away from me. And then everything's running behind. I like getting in the gym early. I tend to work out fasted. Although I'm starting to switch that where I'll have a little maybe protein shake. The last week I've been messing with that just to see if something I'll do. Yeah. And then I have a big breakfast though. And so I like working out after devotional time. I work out. And then you get that high the rest of the day. You know, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yep. You check that important thing off the list. Yep. Sleep is important for sure. So what's your preferred protein that's plant-based if you're doing like a shake? Do you have some particular brands that you really like or
Garden
flavors?
Of Life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Garden of Life.
Okay.
The Sport. It's titled Sport, the vanilla and the chocolate.
Oh, I haven't tried their protein powder yet. We use all their vitamins.
Oh, yeah. Garden of Life, the vanilla one is very good. And I like it because it's the one that I have found to have the most protein based on calories. Yeah. Right? Others, you'll get 20 grams of protein, but it's 180 calories. Or it'll be 160 calories, but you only get 20 grams of protein. Right. Whereas this Garden of Life, the vanilla Sport or the chocolate, but I prefer the vanilla. it's 160 calories and you get 30 grams of protein.
Wow.
So that's good bang for your buck.
Yeah, that is. And that is an important thing to watch when you're choosing, like not all protein powders are made the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They definitely are not. The
now,
quality.
I have to admit, I'm a little jealous of like whey protein and stuff like that. I mean, you can get 120 calories and get like 40 grams of
Yeah,
protein.
that's true. And then we have a wider variety of flavor choices too.
Yeah.
That is very
there
true.
are some things.
But I like to ask that question for plant-based eaters because there are a lot of people that have, like, even if they're not a plant-based eater, but they have lactose issues or things like that, that the whey just doesn't settle well for them. And it can be really challenging to find a very good tasting plant-based protein. Yeah. So I have not tried that one.
Well, I recommend that.
Yeah.
That Garden of Life vanilla.
Okay. Very cool. The sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So awesome. I love it. This has been a really great conversation. I've had so much fun learning about kind of your journey and you talk about numbers with your body composition and all that stuff. Well, actually, did we touch on that a little bit? Kind of part of your journey already?
No, we didn't.
Yeah. So maybe we should talk about that a little bit. Just as you started to go down that path, I think you talked about kind of your how you started watching your food and you started working out, but talk maybe just a little bit about the numbers.
Yeah. So when I hit that 199.5, I was at 35+% body fat measured by a DEXA scan. And a lot of people, when I would tell them that, they'd be like, you were never fat, where I wore it well. Yeah. Most of my fat based on my DEXA scan was on the sides of my body. So I never had like a big belly or anything. It was on the sides of my body. And so I was maybe looking at me from the front, I didn't look fat, but if you turn me sideways, you could see, okay, I could see something. And that's what I wanted to get. The first goal was to get down to 25, and I did that, then down to 20. And then one day I thought I was about 14% or 15%, and then I did the DEXA, and I was at 12.4. And that was, I came out of that DEXA scan going, whoo-hoo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what did it for me, and for people who want to lose that body fat quicker, I realized, because I was taking DEXA scans every quarter, is compound exercise, compound lifts. Nothing will burn fat like squatting.
Mm-hmm.
You squat, and I was squatting to the point where, now, don't try this at home, boys and girls, because I had a Smith machine. So I was squatting to the point where I could just let it go and it would drop, right? But I knew it wasn't going to bounce left or right or chase me because it's in a Smith machine. Yeah. But I was squatting until, your eyes would kind of dim because I was going heavy. Well, between one DEXA scan to the other, I lost 14 pounds of body fat. So basically in 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was amazing. So I tell people, if you want to see that fat burn out, do compound lifts and work hard. Nothing comes easy. You can control your diet, you can lift, but if you're not pushing yourself, you're going to be wondering why something's not happening.
Mm-hmm.
Heavy weights, for sure. And you're getting that heart rate up and you're getting all the things happening, and just 5 and 10 pound dumbbells isn't going to get you to that level ever, especially with lower body workouts. Got to go a lot higher.
Well, unless you're just starting, right?
Sure.
I tell people, if you can squat 200 pounds for 10 times, but you only do it 5, you're wasting your time. But if another person can only squat 50 10 times and they go to 10 and sometimes get to 11, they're actually working harder than the person lifting more weight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you versus you is one of my favorite phrases. I don't look at anybody else. It's me versus me, because first of all, a lot of people are younger than me, and there is an age gap.
Yeah.
But I'm 50 and I'm happy for how I look at 50.
Yeah.
Except for the hair.
Well, and it's never too late to start. It's never too late to keep going. And, you know, age is really just a number. It really is.
Amen.
And if you do take people's lifestyle into consideration, because you look like your lifestyle, it definitely is an age reversing thing that happens, because you definitely look younger when you are taking care of yourself and you feel better and you're more energetic, but you can see it. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. And you feel better. The number one reason I work out really is for mental clarity. I'm confident now. And a matter of fact, I was speaking in an outdoor service, and so I wasn't in a suit. I was in a shirt similar to this one. And some of the women came up to me and was like, "Pastor, do you take steroids?"
Oh,
I'm not even that big, but you know, you can see some definition.
yeah. And it feels good to hear those things, though. You know,
exactly.
It's funny.
You're like, no, I've earned these.
Yeah.
I've earned my guns. Well, you do look great. And age is just a number. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us. It's always super fun to connect with other people and see where they're at. But I'm definitely going to try this edamame pasta because I'm very interested.
Yeah.
I mean, I love rice pasta, but this has a lot more actually nutritional value in it, which I'd like to get some protein in there. So there we go. I'm going to try it. So
yes.
Thanks for the insight on that.
Your local supermarket will have it. And if not, if push come to shove, Amazon. You could always find it on Amazon.
I love Amazon. Good old Amazon.
Good old Amazon.
There we go. We got it. So awesome. Well, thank you, Gio. We appreciate your time. And that's all we've got for today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So until next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to head over to our Instagram at Nacho Fitness Coach and let us know how you feel about the topic. Do you love it or hate it?
Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you're listening. And if you like our podcast, leave us a rating. See you next time.
You've been listening to Euphony Innovatives Sonified.